You can't even let her get a satisfactory kill because you're like, it's okay. It's so good. A satisfactory kill because you're like, it's okay. Star Wars The Acolyte recently released its last episode, and while we're waiting for some news regarding the second season, Headland is explaining some things we've probably missed. One of the most shocking moments in the final episode was definitely the moment during which Osha kills Master Soul. If you've closely followed the show, you are aware by now that Master Soul was directly to blame for the death of Mother Anastasia and indirectly to blame for the death of the entire coven of the Witches of Brendok. Soul's biggest sin, however, is the fact that he blamed May for it and kept that information secret for 16 years. Once Soul came clean regarding his part in the downfall of her family, Osha could no longer contain her negative emotions, the hatred, the betrayal, the pain, and she decided to force choke Soul. Even in death, Soul decided to forgive her, and this is one interesting moment that Headland explained further. In her recent interview with Collider, Headland explained that one of the important driving factors in the murder was benign sexism. What's so interesting about that moment where Osha kills Soul is how much is conveyed even while he's choking on his words. Also, and maybe this is my impression of it, but my first thought was he doesn't even give her the agency to make this choice herself because he's accepting his fate. It just adds so much more insult to injury. You can't even let her get a satisfactory kill because you're like, it's okay. It's so good. A satisfactory kill because you're like, it's okay. So I guess Soul was supposed to be a satisfactory kill for Osha, even though she doesn't really struggle in the show at all up until this point. Kind of ridiculous in my opinion. We also knew that it was always going to be the betrayal of the father, and I knew we had to juxtapose Luke's forgiveness and Vader's redemption. We're like, this is a story about the Sith, so that's not going to happen. You're absolutely right. There's this thing that's called benign sexism, and part of it is this paternal protectionism. It seems like this good thing, and like you said, there's this, I have to protect you from everything, I have to make sure you're okay, I have to tell you what track to get on, and then once you're on to track, I need to support you. Sounds like basic parenting to me, but maybe I'm just not informed enough on this. I think you should want your kids on a good track and support them and whatever they're going down. But anyways, ultimately what happens is, again, this is a father-daughter relationship. As women evolve in their lives and develop their own personalities separate from their fathers, at some point they have to reject that protectionism. Again, I'm so proud of it. I have so many favorite moments in the show. I have like 100, and I'm happy to go through all of them right now. One of my favorite moments is when he says, I did everything because I love. He's going to say, I love you, and not only is that a level of attachment that an unbalanced Jedi would have, he very clearly is losing it in the last half of the season. But that's also the justification for that kind of behavior between the father and the daughter. Now, again, I've talked about the writing in this show a lot, and how I don't think a lot of it really makes sense. And a lot of it seems that, Leslye has came into these interviews after the show was over and tried to give us these random explanations on how things were supposed to work in the show because the writing was just so bad. The daughter has to surpass him in some way. She cannot stay a little girl or an adolescent or young adult. She has to, at some point, say, I reject what you have told me I need to do to make you proud, to follow in your footsteps. She has to do that. And I think that's one thing that they could have easily explained with her just not being a Jedi. Because obviously she steps away from becoming a Jedi. She says it was the hardest thing she's ever had to do. And Soul wanted her to be a Jedi. So I think that would have been a great explanation for how she kind of went outside of what Soul's footsteps were for her, as he's obviously a Jedi. And she said she failed at that, and he said, maybe I failed you as a teacher. So I think that could have been really easily explained right then and there. I do think when he says it's okay, I think you're right. He is imposing on her agency at that point, but I do think in a weird way she needed it. She needed his acceptance, not his approval, but his acceptance of his fate, I think, is what gives her the energy to do the final fist clinch. Now, I can kind of agree with that. I think that visually and dialogue from the show, like, we all understood what that is. I think we all understood that, he was accepting his fate at that point in time, and he wasn't giving his approval either of saying, like, it's okay, go ahead and do it. He's accepting his fate. I think we all understood that from the dialogue of the show. Now, do I wish he would have fought back? Kind of, because I think it would have been a cool turn of events for him to actually fight back. Maybe he joins the dark side. I don't know. I mean, at this point, he wasn't able to save one of the girls. Basically his daughter has gone against him at this point. He's with a Sith at this point. Lots of things going on that could have turned him to the dark side, even for just a little bit. Again, this is what we got. And I think that this right here, the it's okay part, was very understandably, easily digestible, dialogue in the show for us to all understand what, Soul was trying to say to Osha. He wasn't accepting it. He was just saying, like, it's okay, do what you need to do if you feel that way. No matter whether you agree or not with what Headland stated, Osha is now on a dark path that's certain to become even darker with Darth Plagueis looming so close by. And with the recent news, we saw that Plagueis is actually Chimere's master. Leslye Headland, again, in another interview, gives us that little sneak peek of information there. But my biggest issue here overall is the fact that we're getting all of this clarity through these written out interviews. I'm sure some of them are audio, but the ones I've read are all just written out interviews, and it's really freaking frustrating. The fact that I have to go here and scroll through an entire article to understand Soul's character, whereas $180 million budgets couldn't show me Soul's character enough. It really just frustrates me that, I have to go through these articles to understand things that the story should have showed me in the show. $180 million budget, and I have to scroll through a free article with ads all over the place to actually understand what was going on with Soul's character. I didn't get this from the show at all, that there was any benign sexism going on. Of course, there's probably moments where Soul kind of overstepped, as he does, feel like a father figure to Osha and thinks he knows what's best for her. I think we all deal with that growing up. But I think there was a way better way of proposing that in the show to all of us as an audience. And, they don't have to make us feel like little kids and just give us handouts of exactly what's going on and say the words benign sexism. But you can just show us, overstepping as a parent, what that results in. And I think there was, issues of that in the show. But instead, I have to go here and read an interview on comicbasics.com, never even heard of it, to figure out what was actually going on with Soul's character. Another issue I had was recently with the Plagueis interview that she talked about. She said Plagueis was Chimera's master. Why do we not see that in the show? And I personally think it's because she wants a season 2 to just get confirmed. There's a whole wave right now going on, #renew the Acolyte, and a lot of people want season 2. I'm not really for it, but I'll probably watch it. I mean, I love Star Wars. I did not like the Acolyte, but I would watch it just to see where it goes, especially if Plagueis is going to be heavily involved. That's a character that I really like. And if they're going to ruin him, I might as well watch it during the process and be able to talk about it with you guys. But yeah, big no, big yikes on all of these articles coming out where Leslye Headland has to just reveal all these things through written out text. I'm just not a fan of it. I think the show, with the budget it got, should have really given us a just thought out story that explains all these things to us through the show. I don't think we should have to read articles. And I think a lot of fans that actually do enjoy the show are probably missing out on a lot of this from the articles, because I do this all the time. I make videos for you guys, and this is where I get my information from. I know where to look. Unfortunately, not everyone, wants to go read articles, and I don't think they should have to. So hopefully I can help you guys out with getting some of this information out. I think it's ridiculous, in my opinion. I think Leslye did a horrible job with the show, and that's just straight up. I just don't think she did a great job. And I think things are trying to be cleaned up and changed in these interviews. Lots of these things coming out after the show has already finished. I'm assuming they're going to do a season 2, and I guess we'll just see. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. May the force be with you all. I'll see you guys in the next one.